All right, Ryan, give me a sec here. We've got about 1 minute. A great way to support this show, everyone, is to do a little shopping at facebook.com/the SOR Vault. If you're brand new, we're trying to hit 15,000 subscribers before May 24th, which will be my 48th birthday. So I'm hoping that you guys can help out with that. If you're new, just hit that red subscribe button and the little bell thingy that rings when we are coming on. As well, we have the super chat open in the chat room right now. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, whatever you feel we deserve. We love them both, and that's all the ways you could support what we do on this show. And what the hell? Let's just do a show in like 10, 15 seconds here. Hi, Virgil. How you doing, man? Good to see you. All right, Ryan, we are 8 seconds away. 8 seconds. All right, buddy, here we go. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Good friend of this show is on tonight, Ryan Stacey, who's a certified private investigator out of the beautiful province of Ontario, and he is also the founder of Blacklight Investigative and Surveillance Services, and the founding father of a really cool group that we use on our website called TESA, the Experiencer Support Association. So when you go to spacedoutradio.com and you click on our Sightlines report, you can actually file any type of report, paranormal, supernatural, UFOs, and it all goes over to TESA and Ryan to take a good look at. He's a good guy. Good guy. Can't grow a beard worth anything, but this is a guy I trust, and I really enjoy his company and having our conversations with him. He is also the former National Chief Investigator for MUFON Canada. He's been featured on television programs. He's lectured at major conferences, and he's had many articles published around on websites and blogs as well. And you know what? We're glad to have him here. His website is tesacan.org. TESA, TESA, CAN.org. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Ryan Stacey, how you doing, my friend? It's good to have you back on Spaced Out Radio.
I am good. I am happy to be here. It's been a long time since I've been graced with your insults.
Oh, come on. That's not even insulting. I haven't even started on you being a Toronto Maple Leafs fan yet.
Who said I was a fan of anything? But anyway, that was a good intro. I appreciate that. Thank you for that. That was probably the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
Are you kidding me? I'm always nice. You're making me look bad here.
No one can see you.
And I'm in pain. I'm in pain today. You know, so I'm going to tell people what happened today, quickly here.
Sure.
When I was 15 years old, okay, playing hockey, I was a second, third line plugger. Okay, so for people who don't know what a plugger is, you're the shittiest, crappiest guy. Pardon me, I better edit myself out there. I was the crappiest guy on the line. But my job was to take the brunt of the, how would you say this? The physical work. So while all the good players were out doing their thing, dangling with the puck, I'm the guy in the middle taking the beating or running a guy into the boards because I kind of enjoyed that. So here I am playing Bantam Rep hockey, and I have the defenseman coming behind the net, and I lined him up, and I could still see the play to this day. He's got his head down, he's coming behind the net, and I'm just going to put my shoulder into him and level him. He sees me at the last second, elbows me in the chin. Yes, we wore full face masks then. He elbows me in the chin. His elbow goes straight up my nose, breaks my nose, knocks me unconscious. And as he hit me, my teeth hit together. And it cracked this tooth. So for 30 years, I've had a filling on there, and I had to get it redone because it was starting to fall off. And I'll tell you, I've got all that nerve stuff on there now, where anything cold and sensitive just drives it nuts. So that's what I'm going through right now. It's terrible. I hate that feeling. But anyways, Ryan, we're going to talk UFOs here with you. You are based out of just outside of Toronto, Ontario, and you have this organization. You've been involved in the UFO field for some time now. You started off with MUFON Canada and then decided to do your own thing after, kind of having an epiphany that there's way more to this entire phenomena than just UFOs. Take us through that. What got you into the UFO field?
Okay. Well, yeah, I started back in 2015. What started, so I was a private investigator. Started that in 2009. So at that point, I was introduced to a client who believed that her son was kidnapped or abducted by aliens. So I was actually retained as a client, as a private investigator, to find and locate her missing son. Now, I had an interest in that in general, so of course, and I was paid to locate her son, and so it was kind of like a neat thing to be able to, probably the only person ever paid to investigate an alien abduction. At that time anyways. So I end up finding her son, not abducted, but in Scientology, School of Scientology. Or however that is, Scientology or church, that's the word for it. So from there, I kind of, part of my process in locating him, I kind of got involved with the discussion groups. So I'd have a lot of people chatting about UFO sightings and mysterious things, and all these links kind of brought me to that. And then there was an individual who commented that they purchased a manual from MUFON headquarters, and they got ripped off. They didn't get their money. So I chimed in, said I'm a licensed private investigator. This is a criminal offense. It's fraud. If you would like, I could look into this for you. So we talked off to the side, so I did that. And then that led me to Stu Bundy, who was the national director of MUFON Canada at the time. Had a quick conversation with him about the manual, realizing it was just a miscommunication in the way that headquarters kind of operated. Cleared that up. The guy got the manual. And then Stu, as the salesman as he was, talked to me about investigations and whatnot, and convinced me to purchase the manual myself. And that was the beginning of this never-ending journey into ufology. So from there, I quickly went through the ranks. As a veteran private investigator, I went from field investigator to the chief investigator of Ontario, then the provincial director, then the assistant chief investigator for Canada. Then I was promoted nationally when I worked beside Jan Harzan, Chase Kletzky, Steve Hudgens on national to be the director of training. So I was responsible for teaching every single field investigator in the group of MUFON how to investigate UFO sightings. I stepped down from that, continued my work in Canada as the national chief investigator for Canada. Stu stepped down. A new player came into the game, Mark St. Germain. He tried to clean up shop. We had a whole bunch of issues around that because it was all about money. I left. Then Dave Pallet. Then I guess what happened? Mark quit or somehow got fired or something. Then Dave Palachuk took the ranks. And I started TESA somewhere in between that. So what TESA is the Experiencer Support Association. And it's essentially created to be an assist for anyone who's experiencing the phenomenon and anyone who's actively investigating or researching the phenomenon. And it's designed to bring everyone together and to investigate the phenomenon, which is also an enhancement to the MUFON Field Investigator training program that I was responsible for teaching. So whether they accept it or not, and it's actually the next step after MUFON. So
with TESA, for so many people, you have seen they segregate the phenomena, whether it's ghosts, whether it's aliens and UFOs, whether it's cryptids like Bigfoot or Dogman or fairies, whatever it may be. Yet you wanted to bring it all together under one roof with TESA. Why did you feel that it was necessary to do that?
Well, it started with the fact that everything else got reported to MUFON, and MUFON didn't have protocols to investigate it because their focus was UFOs. So the direction that was given to me while I was in National from Jan and the executive team in the U.S. was to delete the cases, to disregard them, and not do anything with it. Having a conversation with Stu Bundy in Canada, and I voiced my opinion on how that wasn't proper because the impression of the people who are reporting don't know the difference. They see MUFON at that time as being someone who could give them answers, but without that back and forth to at least know why, or a redirect. So it really kind of irked me. So I was able to convince Stu to allow me to take the paranormal or any other cases outside of that and investigate it privately under my private investigating firm. What ended up happening is I ended up getting too busy with that, and I ended up creating a system that was able to allow me to do my work better and easier, which is now TESA's model. I'm now sharing that with everyone. But through my work in simultaneously investigating the UFO and abduction cases and these paranormal cases simultaneously, I was able to measure and trends and have data to support the possibility that it's all connected. Either, and the best way to say that is it's kind of hard. It was really hard to do it with MUFON, but now with TESA, it's easier to show because we can timeline the experiences and get a really good reading of everything that's happened in this experiencer's life to kind of pinpoint that the index event of the first event that happened, which is normally an alien abduction or a sighting report. And then years later, it's psychogenic. It's a psychic ability or paranormal activity. So these things happen in the later years, but we're able to timeline it. So when I realized that there were some commonalities with the shadow figure and the abduction cases, the entities such as the sleep paralysis, the descriptions of the people represent or resembled similarities to the type of classifications of alien entities, I started to think that perhaps they are the same or similar, working together, or somehow mixed in the batch, because visually what the experiencers were drawing or communicating to me all sounded the same or looked the same. So then I started to reclassify everything for my own research by removing the fluff, removing the labels. Instead of calling it ghosts, we're calling it apparitions. Instead of calling it UFOs, we're calling it aerial activity or aerial phenomenon. We're trying to, instead of calling it Bigfoot, we're calling it a primate. We're trying to eliminate these labels and investigate the event as it is. And once we're able to identify that it's happened, then we have this compare and contrast kind of model going on. And I'm in the middle of my second year report, so the 2020 report, and the trends are showing that in our research that they are connected somehow, at least through the people.
Ryan, in regards to doing this, why set up your own organization when there are so many others out there?
Well, that's a good question. Why? Well, at the time that I created it, I felt like what I created didn't exist and it was needed. And what I mean by that is there are so many organizations out there that do their own thing, that investigate well, that have their own methods, their own research models, their own philosophies. And what we all have in common is that interest in the phenomenon, whether that's paranormal or UFO, and the need the empathy to help these people. But the thing is, as a private investigator, I work with other private investigating firms, much like a police officer will work with other police detachments for investigation. So we run, based on that philosophy, I wanted to create an environment where it was possible for other research organizations to work together and share together their information and have this global universal database where you could be independent but also part of a team. So that second level fact check verification, because like I am a private investigator, my credentials are in evidence collection and verification. So the idea was to create a bunch of resources from this academic level and make them available to all the independent researchers out there that are trying to do something so great on a high level without any training. I wouldn't say without any in general, but with a variety of different standards or regulations. So we're trying to create this global regulated system that anyone could use, whether you're a veteran, you want some additional information, you want some additional training, or you're just starting out. But what's also important is me trying to explain how there's more data in the research field if you accept paranormal, cryptids, and all that other information and investigate it simultaneously. Because if we look at the history of studying UFOs and only UFOs, we don't know any more about UFOs today than we did 50 years ago. Because the word itself, ufology, is the study of UFOs, which essentially is the study of things that we don't know. So I don't understand how people could really study something that doesn't exist or can't be confirmed.
Now, are you an experiencer yourself?
That's a good question. I may be, has not been confirmed. And what I mean by that is I've had what we're calling visual displays, or as what's the trending word, downloads. I had the idea of TESA had come to me in an interesting way. These visual displays, the best way I can really emphasize it is like an old movie theater with those slides just going back really, really fast. And I kept seeing this map. It's called a map, with all these symbols and icons and this table, this round table, and all those other things. There's this big, elaborate, complicated system. And somehow, from that vision, by staring at this complicated series of shapes and symbols and colors, which you can find on my Instagram, I guess channeled or started getting thoughts from looking at it, and all these ideas came in. And the ideas were to basically create what is TESA today, and that's pretty well the only experience I could relate. That could be just my higher self vibrating, consciousness and all that crap. But I have not seen a UFO. I have not seen an alien. I've not seen a ghost. I've investigated over 1,200 cases in counting. I've not personally seen any physical evidence to suggest that the phenomenon exists in this world.
So why do it?
Because I believe that in the people. and the people are experiencing something that cannot be explained. Because I have, in my research and in my studies and of everything else that I've collected, I have people from different places all over the world drawing similar things, calling them different names, just, different attributes here and there. But it's from knowing from my perspective that I'm the only one who has seen this information. I'm the only one who's interviewed these people, and they're not connected to each other. So I know, and this state in time, that they don't know each other because they're not even in the same country. But how the hell are they experiencing the same phenomenon minutes, perhaps hours apart from each other, or months? So there's these characteristics that intrigue me, that there is a phenomenon, there is something going on. And it could be ET related, it could be alien craft, it could be government, it could be humans. I have more evidence to suggest that it's the human beings that are capable of psychic ability than I do extraterrestrials. I have more evidence to suggest that the government is behind psychic training than I do of extraterrestrials. But that doesn't mean they're not connected until we actually meet one or somebody confesses and says, it was me, I did it. That's in my study anyways.
We've got 2.5 minutes before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Ryan Stacey from TESA is here tonight. Ryan, we're going to start getting into UFOs over Canada next because, that's where you're located, that's where I'm located, and we always hear about the United States or Great Britain or Mexico, but we don't really know what's happening up here. To kind of warm things up here, is Canada truly a hotbed for UFOs, or is it something where there's just not enough people to report all the good stuff that we see coming out of the U.S.?
It's definitely option B, because I believe the reach in Canada is not as great as the reach in the U.S. because MUFON started in the U.S. They are huge in the U.S. because that's where they were birthed, and that's where their marketing is. And then they spread over to Canada, and then the little stuff that's happening with Canada, the reason why MUFON Canada is the way that it is because MUFON USA didn't assist MUFON Canada. So it is a marketing thing. It is an awareness thing. TESA is Canadian, and if you are listening to this, TESA wants to cover all Canadian product, if possible, so that way we can be on the map, at least, in ufology.
How important is that? We got 1 minute.
To me, it's important because I'm Canadian. It's cultural. It's good for the nation. But perhaps we have information that could assist the States, that could assist American ufology, could assist Britain, could assist everybody. We might have the smoking gun. It's just nobody has come forward with the evidence. It could still be out there.
How come it's so frustrating for you? I mean, you can hear it in your voice.
It's frustrating because I've been doing this for a long time. I've been talking. I don't know if I'm talking to the right people or at the right place, or if the message is right, or if I've made it easy enough for people to report to us. So my frustration comes from the fact that either my marketing is off, or my message is off, or perhaps it's not a hot spot, and there just isn't that much sightings happening. That could be the reality too.
Well, I have another debate on that we're going to go over when we come back from the break, because what I think, and maybe it's just me, I think Canadians never call in anything except maybe a moose crossing the highway. And I'm not even being stereotypical, but we'll be back on Spaced Out Radio with Ryan Stacey from TESA right after this. All right, we're clear.
These are good questions, man. I like them.
Well, that's kind of what I do for a living, dude.
Yeah, you're taking me down a good rabbit hole here.
Let's go down it. Hi, Sassy Sandra. How are you? EQA, good to have you back.
How much time do you have for your break?
You have 5 minutes, dude.
All right.
All right. Go get the mascara to pencil in that mustache. God, I went there already. I can't believe I swore on my own show. I got to edit that out. Like, how dumb am I? Seriously. Jeff C. Who is Jeff C? Polar Eclipse. Hey, Cable Guy Matt. By the way, Science Bob got his package today, and he's literally putting his piece of cable up right above his computer in his new office because he loves his piece of coaxial cable. He thought it was the greatest thing next to the T-shirt, man. Yeah. I'm telling you, Cable Guy Matt, we got a hit here with this autographed coaxial cable here. Remember, you can get your coaxial cable by buying a T-shirt. Go to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. We got our shirts there. Just send us a private message saying, hey, this is the shirt I want, and we'll go get it made. The Canucks won. Gary the Dutchman, by the way, everyone. Gary the Dutchman, he is the owner of Mighty Moose Beard, one of our sponsors, Mighty Moose Beard. As you can see, I got a few whiskers here, and Gary takes care of my whiskers. So all we do here, just to show you, is you go to mightymoosebeard.com, you get yourself a bottle like I do, the winter blend right here, give it a little squeeze like that, fill it up, and then you just drop it into your hands like so. Woo-wee. Then rub your hands together, just massage it in. And then you just massage it in, gents. That's it. That's all you do is massage it in. Look at that. Look how good my beard looks now. Full. You know, this makes me, I'm a regular 5.3 out of 10, ladies. But with this beard oil, I'm at least a 6.1. I jumped to a 6.1, all because of Mighty Moose Beard Oil. And for the ladies, you can also massage this into your hair, and it helps take care of split ends. It's all natural. It is all in Canadian dollars. So if you're in the U.S., and you buy like some beard oil for like $20, it's only going to cost you like 16 and a half. You're saving money. You're saving money. All because of the Dutchman Gary at mightymoosebeard.com. Use promo code SOR2019. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. So make sure you go check it on out.
You know it's 2021, right?
Yeah, we haven't changed that yet. That's Gary the Dutchman. He doesn't like... You know, that costs him money to do that, so he doesn't like spending money.
It sounds like it's expired.
Yeah, no, the SOR 2019 code still works. I mean, Ryan, you have no hair on your head, so, you know.
Yeah, that's true. It's all on my face.
Let's see. Hello, Tammy Jackson. Let's see here. I know I missed someone here, so just bear with me. Nicola, how are you? There's who I missed. Nicola. I always like to... Drives me nuts. People come into our chat room, we got to give them a shout-out. Have to. It's important. We've got 104 live right now.
Right on, man. Hello, people.
That's Ryan.
That's Ryan. I'm Ryan.
You're Ryan.
It's like... I'm up till 3 o'clock in the morning with you, man. This is past my bedtime.
Well, I know. Den Bub, good to see you. And thank you for coming on in. Seraphim wants me to stroke the beard hairs. So there you go. Just still massaging it in, people. Look how good that looks. Oh, yeah. Just nice little massage right there. That's it. That's all we got to do. Ryan doesn't know what this feels like. He's never done this before. It's okay, though. We still love you, Ryan.
Thanks, man.
Still love you.
Maybe that, yeah.
All right. Ryan, we got 25 seconds. Remember, thank you to everyone who's given us a thumbs up and thumbs down. Thank you to everybody who's hit that subscribe button. If you're new, we're trying for 15,000 before May 24th of this year. We're at 10,279. The super chat is open, so if you feel like you want a super chat, then you super chat. It's just the way it is. 5 seconds here, guys. Let's get this thing going. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on from TESA, the Experiencer Support Association. Ryan Stacey is here. His website, tesacan.org, if you want to check it on out. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Ryan, right before the break, we were talking about reports in Canada, because you being a Canadian investigator of UFOs, number one, there's very few, but number two, it's hard to get high-quality UFO investigation in Canada. Why is that?
Why do you think it's hard?
I'm the one who asks the questions here.
I know that, but what were you thinking when you said that?
Well, you know what? I think it's a couple reasons. Canadian people are very passive for the most part. And we don't like to rock the boat. We don't like to, protest. We don't like to see things differently. We don't want to be different. We're very cookie cutter in most regards. And I think that's why. I could be wrong. You tell me.
Well, I think it's a lot of things. I mean, we are consumed in American politics, in American ufology. Even though we're not American, we are very involved with the rest of the world, and we get a lot of stuff from our American friends. And I think part of it would be some people forget that, we're not American, we're Canadian, and or maybe they don't even realize that there is that Canadian option, and there hasn't been. Even when MUFON Canada was around, the marketing was not on point. It was piggybacking off of America, and which they were also piggybacking off of their stigma and off of their bad press too, which wasn't really good. So it's part of the awareness. It's part of the, like you said, people might not want to do a protest. It depends on the intent. There's a way to peacefully protest disclosure, which I have a plan for, which I need more data. But I think it also comes from the fact that many people might not know what to expect, or they might be afraid of the result. They might not be able to trust who they're reporting it to. I think there's so many social factors that are playing hard on it. And my mission is, I'm on this awareness campaign right now to try and get rid of those stigmas, or at least create I wouldn't say a replacement, but a second opinion or a second option or an alternative for the entire world. But also, if you want to, support Canadian product, TESA would be the place to be. You being Spaced Out Radio, all Canadian broadcast, shop local.
No, and I understand with what you're saying, but the biggest mystery that I talk to with a lot of people, across Canada, from Grant Cameron to Victor Vigiani and other researchers, is nobody can define the role, Ryan, of what ufology is in Canada. and what is Canada's role on the world scene regarding this all-important topic. Have you been able to look into that?
Well, the role, what role do you need it to be? Because, like, I have requested, and I am waiting for for Project Magnet and Project Second Story files. So Project Magnet, the Wilbert Smith, story and his old investigations leading into Project Second Story with the Science Review Board. Those are like the equivalent to the Project Blue Book and then the Condon Report in America, those kind of things. So I've been saying these words a lot, trying to get awareness about it. Grant has covered this from the very get-go. He's got all the information on Wilbert, all the information on Project Magnet on his website. But it's just not being covered enough. I think so what I'm trying to do is once I get the documents, I'm going to retell that story from the beginning again under new light. Almost like how Jeremy Corbell and Bob Lazar retold the Area 51 story, right? With a little piece of new information. To kind of just let people know that Canada has something too. And the interesting thing, I've realized that Canada is very open. Canada has a database where they actually log their UFO sightings with the RCMP. If you actually speak to the Department of Defense, they will help you. They will talk to you. They will assist you. But to define their role, I think no one's really asked, no one's really produced anything in Canada, and I just feel like it's there and it's available, which I've discovered. It's just no one's ever shared it. So I have information that hasn't surfaced. I just haven't got around to publishing yet. I'm working through that. It will go onto our website as I go through it. I'm building a team to help me go through these old documents. Grant Cameron was nice enough to gift me some of Friedman's files. I'm going through those right now. And what I'm also trying to do while I go through these is add these to our virtual database on our website so that other investigators in the future, present, some other place in the world can come to our website and see the files and find them exactly where they want them. Almost like how Greenwald does on his Black Vault, but Canadian. So I think we're behind because no one's done it. As a UFO, as someone who's been in this field, I've observed how everyone's done it in Canada. I've done background checks as a private investigator on everybody in the game, not to find criminal activity, but to understand where they were, how they evolved into the icons that they are today. And in doing that, there's a lot of things that were missed and a lot of things that they didn't focus on. And it's not because they're not great. It's just because that wasn't what they were interested in. Victor Vigiani is great. He got the NORAD files at the beginning of his career, but he hasn't got anything new in a while. So I don't know if that's because his priorities had shifted, and he's still doing good work now, but everything's shifted. Look at Grant. Grant has stopped doing sightings. Now he's focusing on consciousness and experiencing. So everyone is shifting. So for me, I don't want ufology in Canada to die. And I'm afraid that with the age of all these greats that we have, that if I don't create an environment where a new generation could continue, and if disclosure doesn't happen, then ufology will die. And so I'm going back to the past, but looking at it under new light, providing my criminal investigative skills, which are presented on a website so that way the future can always pull for it. And when we train everybody on this new hybrid method where you're able to investigate simultaneously all phenomena, we should have a huge compository of data if disclosure hasn't happened yet. And even if disclosure does happen, it's probably not going to be in the form that we want it to be.
Ryan, I want to ask you, in regards to what Canadians are reporting to you, what they are seeing, is it just UFOs or is it about ET contact? Can you share a few stories with us?
I should have prepped some stuff specifically, but I can give you. I'm trying to think of one case I'm working on right now. There is a case in Edmonton that is very fascinating to me. It's got a good, solid piece of evidence. The witness is working with me quite well. He has video evidence. I would name him, but I don't know. I don't have the report in front of me to know if he wants to be confidential or not. But the video has a low-flying object with what appears to be 3 lights on a slow repeat pattern moving above some trees in a linear fashion. So he was at a stop sign. He had videotaped that. And then there was a secondary witness that saw the craft or the object, whatever it was, saw it turn vertical. So the lights had went from horizontal to vertical before it disappeared behind a field. Now, when I did my investigation report, found the right spot where the original witness was standing when he took the video, I was able to gauge the size, the minimum size of the object to be 13 feet wide. That's at a minimum because I don't have anything to reference it further back, so it could be larger if it was further back, but from the closest point to the trees, 13 feet. The path that it took, if I continue that trajectory to the secondary witness that saw it, is on a straight line. And if I were to continue past that, it goes directly to the Canadian Forces Base in Edmonton. So I've done a Freedom of Information request on that one. I got confirmation actually today that they received the information request, and they're looking into it to confirm if anything picked up on the radar because it was within 7 kilometers of the base. So that's Canadian. That's happening. That was, I think, a couple months ago. That's one I'm recently investigating because it's still open. I do get entity reports. I do have abduction reports. I do have crafts, triangular crafts. I do have apparition reports, ghost reports that when drawn look like shadow figures or look like cloaked reptilians, but yet they classify them as entities or ghosts. So that's another social issue that we have in this mix of things. People are calling them different things based on how they were raised in paranormal and ufology. So there is a plethora of mixed phenomenon here in Canada, 100%.
Do you have a case involving extraterrestrials that kind of sits on top of your head here that someone has gone through, reported to you about ET contact?
Yes, I have. Her name is Lisa. I can mention her name because she is patient 0, which is the very first case that we've investigated through TESA, which is also my last case I investigated with MUFON. So she transitioned over. Been working with her for two and a half years. She has seen what looks like Pleiadians, and she's seen Greys, and she's seen reptilians. She's seen all of them in different formats, but she's also been able to describe them and their functions and how they work with each other. And she's also been able to describe and display crafts that she's been on and that she's operated through telekinesis, through some sort of psychic ability. She has gone through regression. She has reported numerous times. There are some cases I haven't investigated yet where it's happening currently where she believes that she is being followed by government agents, which could be Men in Black associated with that. That happens here in Canada too. The government agent, So that is kind of like that plethora, but she also sees apparitions and paranormal activity and psychic stuff as well. That's in, I don't want to say exactly where that is, but it's really close to home. It's here in Ontario as well. She has a book coming out about her experiences and everything that's coming out too, and it's all been validated through regression and also through our investigations. And that is my baseline, I guess, to compare to other entity reports that come in. And that is the one that stands out because I've been working with her for the longest. And it's not, you don't just, that's another thing too. It's like when you report to us, we're working with you for life. We get all these cases done, but then as you evolve, as you go and something else happens and you report it, we just build your rapport. And then, like I said, when we timeline it, Lisa was able to create a book through one of our referral programs. And you can kind of really understand why she's the way that she is today when you look at each of these cases that have been validated throughout the years. So we investigate the phenomenon, yes, but through the people, if that makes any sense. Like, I learned so much more about UFOs, entities, ghosts, cryptids by investigating the people, by studying the people, to kind of figure out what their makeup is that allows them to have these opportunities. Because I don't see these things. I don't feel these things. And I noticed that these characteristics, such as A positive blood, or the A blood is the most common blood in our research for experiencers, which goes against that O negative theory that's been out for a while. So the evidence that we have doesn't match to the mainstream things that have been going on right now. So either there's been a shift, or we just happen to have a huge population of A positive blood in our research and in what we're doing in our trends. And that's the other thing too, man. Like, no, not one reporting agency who collects data is going to have a full consensus of the data unless they're able to monopolize the market for the entire world. So our study is based on the variety of people that report to us from wherever they are, which is another reason why we break it down to the roots. So it doesn't matter where we are. Geographics don't matter. It's the phenomenon that we're measuring. Also, there's a second level to this. Once we get the data, we put the reports out for the public to use and to see. We expect them to use this to compare their own research to. We release that to the public. We then conduct experiments based off of our own data. So if this type of individual is able to be a UFO magnet, as one of the trendy terms, then we're going to set up these variables based on these experiences to recreate that environment so we could capture this. And that's another thing that most people aren't doing, is they're collecting data. That's great, but they're not using it for experimentation in the scientific method, which is something TESA is doing.
Ryan Stacey is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, talking UFOs over Canada. Ryan, we got 5 minutes before we have to go to break at the top of the hour. Canada, considering the majority of the population, about 90%, lives within 100 miles of the Canada-U.S. border. It's only freaks like me that decide to live in the colder tundra of the country. And, I mean, I like it better, but that's just me. I'm weird that way. Weird. But I have to ask you, with all the population being so close to the Canada-U.S. border, we're not getting a very accurate picture of what's happening north, are we?
No, you're absolutely right, because majority, if I were to look at my map, because on the website we have a visual display map, so a world map of our reports. They are lower Canada and upper USA. It's like almost on the border. But is that because of our reach? We don't know. We don't know who's reporting from where and who hears from what and all that other stuff too. But I do have some stuff in northern provinces. but I want to blame that on marketing. I want to blame that on awareness and whether or not some of the, like Nunavut and Yukon territories, do they actually, are they involved in this type of phenomenon? Like it's, or is that a Aboriginal thing, Indigenous thing, that they're just spiritual people and, they believe. They don't need to report. They know, We have a lot of that in our culture too. Maybe we're not, we have the answers. We just know, right? It could be that Canadian approach as well, right?
Well, I mean, the fact that the majority of population in the northern areas, there are a lot of First Nations and Indigenous reservations and reserves out there, and a lot of those populations will always talk about the Star People. Are we putting enough emphasis on the experiences that this great people of great culture are having?
But, well, I would hope so. It's based on the reports. Like I'm paying attention to the experiencer reports on entities. If I were to scale it, I get more entity reports than I do sightings. Sky people, that's just people from the sky. That could be ET. That could be astronauts, humans from another, from another country who just landed there. It could be a whole bunch of things. It's this reach thing. COVID has restricted our reach. But as soon as the borders open, I plan to do a Canadian tour and physically have workshops and spread the word of our mission to hopefully create awareness to all these other provinces in the area, so that way they know that this is available to us. And I think that after I do that, we'll start getting more reports. Somebody has to do it. Even when I was with MUFON Canada, I was the director of the entire country. Ontario and Quebec received the most cases because of the population, but MUFON Canada started as MUFON Quebec, and then there was MUFON Ontario. And then somehow, some cultural reason, we've separated, and then Ontario eventually branched to Canada, and called itself MUFON Canada, but it was never MUFON Canada. It was just MUFON Ontario. So majority of my study is in Ontario because that's where I live, that's where my people are, that's where I promote everything. So it makes sense that there's a shortage, especially if you say that there's investigators in the world. In Canada, there's few of them. We have Grant Winnipeg, Manitoba, yeah, and he's got a global reach, but he's only circulating his province unless he gets invited out, right? So somebody has to do a Canadian tour. Are you with me, man? You want to come with me?
Maybe. We should do a Canadian tour.
We should.
Get it sponsored by a real Canadian type company too.
Yeah.
Are there any of those left anymore? I don't know.
Well, Blacklight's certainly sponsoring TESA right now, so, meet me, let's go coast to coast. Why not?
Let's do it. Once COVID ends, let's do it. A UFO tour right across Canada.
And paranormal, all of it. All things interconnected.
Yeah, what the heck? Why not? Ryan Stacey is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio as we're about to go to break here at the top of the hour. Ryan is the creator of a group called TESA, the Experiencer Support Association. You can find them at tesacan.org. That's TESACAN.org. Where if you had paranormal happenings, UFO sightings, you got aliens, or you've seen Bigfoot or Dogman or little fairies flying through the trees, you just file a report with Ryan and he will get back to you. Everything's free too, by the way. Everything is free for you to file a report and have an investigator look at it, which is really, really cool. Coming up when we bring Ryan back, we're going to talk about more UFOs over Canada. What's Canada's role in ufology? And so much more next on the Mighty SOR. Okay, Ryan, we got 6 minutes. I'm just going to run my dogs outside, okay?
Yep. Okay, cool.
Goodbye.
I'm an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother is Watching.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
All right, I'm back. We got 2.5 minutes.
Okay, cool.
All right. What's happening there, Ryan Stacey, at ryanstacey.com?
It's just chilling, man. ryanstacey.com. I should probably make my own website, eh? Instead of promoting everybody else. So this gig is tough, man.
Why? Remember, YouTube can hear us, eh?
Well, I'm just saying, it's tough.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's a lot of people, YouTube can listen to this, there's a lot of people out there, like yourselves, and that investigate this phenomenon, and they don't get the chance to, be heard too. That's another reason why TESA is created, because I'm lucky to be able to sit here with you, but it's not because of what I've done. It's because of the people that were brave enough to share their stories.
Mm-hmm.
So
I hear you, man. I hear you.
You get to do what you get to do because people trust you, and that's a responsibility, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I mean by it's tough.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you. Hey, BMR, welcome to the show and our chat room. Really appreciate you tuning in. Everybody, the super chat is open. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. If you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. We really do appreciate it. We're going to get going in about 25 seconds here. Aussie, oi, 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 how are you? Good afternoon. How's tomorrow looking, my friend? Please let us know. You can do a little shopping. You can get a nice hoodie like this that says, we own the night on the back, by going to facebook.com/the SOR Vault. Check it on out. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up. We're going to go in 5 seconds here.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter @Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. There we go. Do us a favor. Hit that subscribe button. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America and digitally on TalkStream Live, KPNL, and Revolution Radio. The Desert Clam is set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clam? Micturition. Micturition is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter @SpacedOutRadio and on Instagram @SpacedOutRadioShow. From the Experiencers Support Association, TESACAN.org, we have Ryan Stacey, the creator of it, on with us tonight. UFOs over Canada is what we are talking about. Ryan, for the reports that are coming in about UFOs across Canada, what are people seeing in the sky?
People are seeing a combination of, I guess I would say, orbs, lights, that have strange maneuvers that do not seem to make sense at a low proximity, close range, close encounter, I guess you could say if you use the Hynek scale. We have had reports of craft. By craft, I mean what appear to be cylindrical or dome-like shaped machines that have lights of several colors. In January 2019, actually, I have a service report that I got, unclassified document from the Department of Defense for a report from Transport Canada where a large ball of light chased an aircraft at a very high rate of speed when there was no blip on the radar. So that's one of my personal investigations that I have on a government document to link to. Just trying to think from memory. We have that one's in Texas. Sorry, I just recently did one in Texas that was like octagon shape. I I don't know. I'm just thinking in general terms because to me, it's all over the world, right? Canada's where.
But focusing on Canada, are people seeing black triangles? Are they seeing rods? Are they seeing silver discs? What are most people seeing that you hear of?
From what I'm seeing, it's mostly orbs. It's mostly odd lights in the sky. The crafts that I don't see any triangles in my research. I don't see any cigar shapes. I don't see any of these stereotypical, or I won't say stereotypical, all these common ones that we hear about in mainstream. They do exist. I see them on other forums and stuff like that too. But yeah, it's never had to think about it before, but I feel like we're lacking in that part. Or maybe we just Paranormal Canada here, you know?
No, and I understand that, you know, but does it matter in what you have seen, like reports coming out of British Columbia? Are they different from Saskatchewan comparatively to Ontario, comparatively to Nova Scotia?
No, not really. They're all it's all the same phenomenon, really. I don't have the information in front of me to give you the demographics, but on the website tesacan.org/data, DATA, pardon me, there are 2 reports that actually break down the Canadian data from 2019. That'll be able to give you a better understanding of what's there, but to my knowledge right now, nothing stands out. So sorry, I can't really answer that.
Okay. So the fact is, though, with these orbs that people are seeing, how do we know that it's not Chinese lanterns, that we don't know if it's drones? I mean, it's so convoluted today because, you know, even through COVID and everything, with more people going out and, you know, being locked down at home and going out and enjoying the stars and actually seeing what's up in the sky, the majority of people probably couldn't tell the difference between a drone and a UFO at the certain height and distance.
Yeah, so we kind of have to look at, that's a tough one too, because it's all unidentified unless I'm able to confirm it with the evidence that comes from the witness. We always work with the witnesses too, because they're the best investigators. You know, they'll go out, take daytime photos if we tell them to, they'll draw if we ask them to. So I got to see it. So once I see it, I kind of have an idea of how I'm going to start this investigation. But like, if it's to rule out possibilities too. So if we look at the cardinal direction in which it's traveling, and we measure that against the wind direction that's present on that date and time, if it goes against the wind, then it would suggest that this object is propelled somewhere. So it might not be a sky lantern because it's not free moving with the wind. It may be a drone, but then there's no sound. So if there's no sound, then we have to look at the height. Is it high enough for you to hear? Is the hum low enough that you can't hear? We got to look at your hearing, all those other things to kind of like really figure out whether it's a drone to that respect. Is it blinking? Then we can look at, you know, there's enough data online once we have some evidence to get a pattern to kind of see, to link it and to verify the possibilities. To be like a UFO as far as like government or alien standards, depending, you know, there's no way to verify who's piloting the crafts at the time of these sightings. We just need to confirm that the object was in the sky. And then from there, we would do a further study of the group, which is something we'll be doing later this year as well. A deeper dive onto each of the phenomenons to give the demographics, or sorry, the characteristic attributes, pardon me, of each of it. So for me, I just basically try to rule everything out. Could it be because like with MUFON's training too, it didn't really teach you how to investigate an unidentified object because we don't know what it is. It gave us tools and tips and hints on how to compare what you're seeing to known objects. So does it match the characteristics of an airplane? Does it match the characteristics of a helicopter? And then we kind of rule all those things out, and then we look at what we're left with. Does it make a sound? So it's, you know, it might not be a drone. but it could be. So the problem is when the reports come in, the witness is excited. The witness believes it to be ET. It believes it to be something that it may not be. So we have a little bit of excitement that we got to work through, and then we got to look at the facts and look at the images. We got to look at the movement. So, long story short, I think it's really hard to definitively decide between a known and an unknown with all the possibilities that are out there. And then I believe that if it's government, they wouldn't be so nonchalant about it. If it was ET, I think I would believe they have the technology to not be visible unless they want to be. So then we can get into human-initiated contact, and all that other stuff. So I'm always on the side of it not being supernatural, but the evidence I can't confirm. So because I can't confirm one way or the other, it's always an unknown, because I believe that it also could be UFOs and ET because of all the other supporting evidence from all over the place.
So how do you define whether or not it is man-made or something a little bit supernatural and not of this world?
I can't, and I don't think anybody really can. That becomes opinion, a disposition based on the evidence in the report. I do get lucky sometimes where I'm able to check satellite data and be able to see a satellite moving at the same time and speed as described by the witness, and that kind of validates the possibility of it being a satellite. A lot of people think satellites don't fly at low orbits. They do, but how low is low in comparison to the vastness of the entire space? We had a huge issue with Starlink. We still do. Like 50 to 60 satellites in sequence zipping across the sky. That looks, mysterious. But if the witness gives me the exact date and time and location, I'm able to actually verify that. So that's because there is a database that I can pull information from. So I can't confirm right now because I don't have a proper database to pull existing data from to compare. So while we're getting our cases of unknowns, we're creating that database so that when we get another one, we compare it to our control sample. And when others get cases, they can start and get caught on to what we're doing. They can compare theirs to ours, and hopefully we'll have this database. And when I say database, it's not a list of stories. It's not a list of documents. These are the actual visuals. So you're going to scan through anything that's labeled as an orb or a craft, and you just scan through until you see something that resembles what you're measuring. And over time, with more reports and more stuff coming in and more evidence that we can confirm as being the best evidence, then I'll be able to hopefully go back and look at some of the previous years that I thought were unidentified because I didn't have all the information, and maybe I might learn something from my new cases that will help me go back and reclassify my personal unknowns. And that was something that really bothered me with MUFON is they have tens of thousands of or 100,000 cases, but it alludes to the fact that they're all unidentified. And the people that are unidentified them have a variance of there's no standard, there's no regulation, it's all opinion. And just because it's not known to me, it doesn't mean it's not known to someone else. So when we put it on the database, my hope, my intent is that someone might come along and say, hey, I'm so-and-so from someplace. I've seen that before. I know what it is. And if they're going to tell me what it is, I just learned something, and then I change the classification. It becomes an identified. We announce it. We thank this person, and I'm probably asking that person to be on my team because I learned something. As an investigator, I'm always learning from other people too. So I really hope that in the future, as I network, that other people start using our data and start adding to the data and start molding the system so that way we can have usable data. Because there's a lot of shit data, bad data out there. Sorry, pal.
That's all right. I'll get the old edit button going there.
Yeah.
But Ryan, in regards to the data and how you try and break it down, I realize you're a very analytical person. You want to know the data. You want to know what is happening with the statistics to try and find some sort of patterns. Have you found any patterns at all that seem to be a little anomalistic regarding the phenomena?
It's all anomalous to me, because it's irregular. It's all irregular. There's nothing normal about the way these things move based on my understanding of technology. So, and the other thing too is with our reporting system, it's very sophisticated. So we get good cases. It's impossible for you to report bad data with our system. It won't allow it to go through unless you answer everything. So the only things that are odd I can think off the top of my head would be the fact that they don't resemble the mainstream stuff that we're seeing in Hollywood, that I'm hearing about and reading in books. There's characteristics, like Lisa's case, for an example. Like she's describing, as an entity report on a craft, but she's describing specific details of like that almost seems like the entity itself has personality or a culture, subculture, like things that it's not your typical gray, you know. So for me, all that stuff is interesting and odd, but UFO specific, a lot of it is also lens flares, I would say too.
Define lens flares for people.
Lens flares are light refractions or mirrored lights, whatever you want to call it. So basically, when you use your video camera or photo device, I don't know the science behind the cameras, but there's mirrors inside the lenses, and then there'll just be a light or reflective surface will bounce off of the camera before it takes the picture. And then, so 9 times out of 10, you won't see that because you're not focused on that. You're focused on the landscape. You'll take a photo, and then you'll go back and look at the photo on a later date and be like, oh my God, what's that in the sky? And it's actually, if you look at the original image, you can actually do some math if you print it out and do some trigonometry from where the object is to the closest light source, and there'll be some distances there. It's basically the light reflection of the light off of the camera's lens, camera's mirrors. I'm not a tech guy, but that's essentially what it is. But people don't know that because they quickly resort to, it must be aliens because there's that belief. I'm having challenges with that, is trying to believe everybody, but also educate them that, yeah, the aliens still exist, but this wasn't an alien. This was, light bending, a normal thing.
Okay, so what about satellites? Because a lot of people confuse satellites with UFOs. All right? There's a lot out there. Even the International Space Station that is flying over, where you could type in your address into NASA's satellite website and check it on out when the International Space Station is going to be flying over. So I'm curious for you. I mean, there's a lot of people out there who may not be familiar with what a satellite is, because some satellites fly slow, some fly at a faster trajectory, some are lower in orbit, others are higher. So I'm just curious, how much confusion do you think it is out there in regards to satellites versus UFOs?
I think there's a lot of confusion. A lot of the cases that I've encountered that turned out to be satellites do share that story of this light came out of nowhere and it went really fast and it was gone. And it's, I'm grateful that there is data trackers that track this stuff, because I can compare, I can look at it and I can validate the possibility based on the characteristics. If this was like 50 years ago when we didn't have these databases to pull from, that could be a UFO because we have no way to confirm that, right? So you got a variance of people from different places all over the world, but different understanding, a different level of learning, and they're not interested in looking for these resources. They might not even know that they're available, but they have that belief. That's what makes it confusing, is they want it to be a UFO. They want it to be aliens. They want it to be that. And because they want it, therefore, anything they see that they don't understand, including the lens flares and the satellites, must be UFO or ET, and that is common.
How much of these sightings are actually aliens?
I'd have to say none of them, because we can't confirm that. My job is to confirm and validate that you saw something and something was in the sky that time, and then we can interpret what that may be once we're able to pinpoint that there was something there. Does that mean ETs are piloting them? No. Also, yes. They could be drones. They could be a UFO flying saucer that's remotely piloted by a human in the Army. We have to track one. We have to shoot it down. We have to study it. We have to do all those things before the Army gets there to retrieve it. What's interesting, though, is some of the entity reports of beings and they draw and they talk about the crafts in which they board or are on board with abduction cases. Those have similar characteristics to what's being seen, too. So we also have a lack of proper evidence, because a lot of the reports come in is, I saw something. There's no photo, there's no video. I have to work off of the testimony. I try to get them to draw it, and they draw it. It's just circles and dots, or however, to the variance of their drawing abilities, which makes it tough too. But another thing that we're trying to do with our academy, which is a training academy where we're going to create like master classes to enhance all investigators in the field, is to teach the experiencers how to get better evidence, so that way we can do better work. So yeah, the ET connection has really only come through abduction cases, or visitations of some sort, which I've also had some shadow figures and some apparitions reported as kidnapping people and bringing them on craft to meet.
Tell us a story about that. Actually, hold on to that story, because we only got about 40 seconds left, and I don't want to have to cut you off for it. But, we're okay to turn the woo up a little bit. I don't mind. Bring us some woo, man.
Bring us some woo. Okay.
I mean, why not? Why not? What? I mean, Ryan, what you do, though, I think people should know is important. I mean, they may look at everything and just say, look, I don't care about data. I don't care about statistics. I don't care about any of this stuff. But it is relatively important in order to try and find those patterns as to what's going on. Because the minute you find a pattern, it makes life a lot easier to investigate when you're looking at a bunch of people who've had similarities between their cases. Ryan, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Ryan Stacey from TESA, the Experiencer Support Association. TESACAN.org is the website. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man.
Doing good. You doing good?
Well, I hope so. Like I'm obviously I'm really I can only speak to what I'm focused on, but like as you can tell, I'm trying to remove myself from the stuff that everyone's already done, so I can get an actual like fresh new reading of the same phenomenon from a different perspective.
Don't blame you. Don't blame you.
And once I'm able to do that, I can understand, I'm beginning to understand why ufology is as messed up as it is today. And I can understand the people that are involved. I can understand the fear. I can understand the divide. I can understand why we're not working together. And then I use that to my advantage by creating this positive environment. And I hope that when the right person comes along and sees that and realizes that that's what they've been looking for, then they ask to join, and then it expands, right?
Totally get it.
I mean, disclosure happens where everyone's out of a job, but then we're also focused on what happens next. Maybe you want to save that for later, but like my study is not so much on what's happening, pushing for disclosure. My study is for what happens after.
Well, let's get into this. We'll go into some woo. Give us a couple of the woo, and then we'll get into disclosure after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Aussie. I cut my last haircut I had was where I cut my hair was back in August, so I'm growing it out again. Yeah, growing it out again. By the way, thank you, TH, Jen A, and Vinster for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Much love to each and every one of you. And hiya, Gil. How you doing? Gil's at a 10 tonight. We usually request that he's at about a 4 or a 5, but he's full on 10 tonight. And oh, my tooth, man. Oh. Magnolia, where are you from? Super Ryan, wearing the Canadian plaid.
Definitely am, man. Why not?
Ready to go swing an axe.
Represent, man. Someone's got to take, that's another thing too, is like, I know we're still alive, but like, am I the only one? Am I really the only one that's actively involved?
With what?
With ufology. At the level that I am.
In Canada, outside of MUFON, I mean, there's other groups. There's UFO BC, and but they're so small and fledgling. I think you're one of the bigger ones. Gil, last warning before you get a timeout. Calm it down. Thank you for the super chat, Ain. Is it Ain? 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 I never know how to pronounce your name, and I feel horrible. Horrible. But thank you so much for the super chat, my beautiful friend. I really appreciate the support. Let's see here. Scarborough Sasquatch Station. Good to have you back. Where have you been hiding lately?
Hi. He's on our channel too. Hi, buddy.
Anuya.
Is that a name or an emotion?
Name. A-I-N-E. I know it's European. Anna? Is that it? Anna? Anyways.
How do you spell A-N-A?
A-I-N-E. Anya. There it is. Anya. Anya. All right. Thank you to everybody for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate it. And we're going to get going here in like 5 seconds, everyone. So let's sit back and relax. Halfway point of Spaced Out Radio has now been passed. We're into the second half of the show here. Thank you so much for tuning us in. My name is Dave Scott. Really enjoy each and every one of you listening in, because the more listeners, the better. So tell your friends that we talk woo in the middle of the night, wherever you may be. Remember, our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with TESACAN.org. Ryan Stacey from the Experiencers Support Association. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you.
Ryan, right before the break, you were going to share with us a couple of woo stories that you got going on with shadow people, with aliens, with all weird stuff. What's one that sticks out in your mind?
Yeah, so I was just trying to think of like a couple cases that had like the hat trick, that had, because that's what I like to see because of everything. I had this one guy, I can't remember the story that well, but he allegedly was picked up or abducted or taken by what he described to be a shadow figure originally. And the shadow figure was able to pick him up in both arms and carry him through a portal through the door, in his closet. And after he went through the closet, this portal, he ended up being on a craft or a vessel or a bed or something, because of the corridors, all that stuff. And then that's when he saw a combination of Pleiadians, reptilians, and Greys, according to what's been already documented or described. When he drew this out, so I could visually see what he could see, the shadow figure had red eyes, which really stood out to this guy. But it was a really beefy looking shadow figure. It was like the Juggernaut from like X-Men. Like it wasn't the typical slender, slim shadow figure. When he drew the corridors and all these other things that are going around, it's just like this maze, which is also similar to what Lisa has gone through. She actually, according to her testimony, she's been taught on how to read ancient symbols, and she were to go through some mazes and whatnot too. So the maze was a common thing between these stories. Just thought of that now. As he drives, going through the maze, and remembers being on this hovering slab of a table of some sort. He was just being observed. It wasn't, nothing was being added to him, or there was no danger or anything like that. But he was being observed by all types of these entities. So we have the reptilian, the one that's the blonde hair, blue eyed, which could be the Pleiadians, and there was what looked like a stereotypical Grey, all analyzing it. But then he described to me that they were in this garb that looked similar to the operating room that we would have here on Earth. And he also mentioned military people being there. So the uniform, though, that he drew, it didn't resemble a current American uniform, or Canadian uniform. But I did some verification checking. I was able to analyze what he drew to some historical uniforms, and it used to be like the old Canadian kind of garb that we used to use prior to what we have in service now. So I thought it was kind of interesting that it was old stuff. But the one fascinating thing that I thought is when he returned back, he woke up and he said he was full of hair. And he doesn't have any animals. He doesn't have a cat, doesn't have any dogs. So that was kind of what was the after effect that was left afterwards. He didn't have any markings. He was just covered in hair. Not thinking anything of it afterwards, but having conversation with him at the end of the report, it almost looks like that shadow figure that was muscular and bulky may have been a Bigfoot type creature that picked him up and brought him through this portal and was examined by all these ETs on this craft. Now that's just an assumption. That's analysis based on to try to make sense of how it looked and why there was hair, because that was odd. That's a very odd particular thing. And if you're making it up, it just you could make better things up. But then after that, fast forward 15, 20 years, he's got this series of psychic events, poltergeists. So things moving around, he's seeing apparitions, he's seeing red eyes, he's being troubled by it now. So that's like a hat trick in the sense of, and again, can't confirm if this really happened, but he has worked with me well. He answered all my questions. He followed all the steps. I asked him to tell the story backwards. He didn't skip a beat. He remembers all the details. We waited a couple months, did a video, did all this other stuff, and then everything checks out. Everything can be validated. So I thought that was crazy in the sense that every single element, he doesn't know what I'm investigating. He reported it as a shadow figure. That's it. But through the investigation process and talking and learning, we eventually learned that there was so much more. And I was happy about that because I didn't have to use regression to bring that story out. I was actually able to work with him as an individual. And I guess based on the questions I asked, it brought more out. So that was a woo for me. Portals through closet doors seem to be common too. Men with hats.
Hold on. Let's start off with the portals one. Portals in closets? That's got woo written all over it, man.
Well, that's how this guy was transferred from his room into this spaceship or whatever it was, through a portal in his closet. So I've seen shadows drawn in front of closet doors. I've seen a black mass with a top hat drawn in front of a closet door. So I've seen archways with shadow figures and ET extraterrestrials wearing cloaks. Cloaks are also common. I've seen a variation of reptilian-like beings wearing a cloak. Shadow figures wearing a cloak with red eyes. I've seen, so these might be some type of uniform or some type of common garment or something that this organization or a group of things, or some sort of formation or regulation or some code that these creatures or beings are following, because there's that trend there too. But then again, they could be humans because, we wear cloaks too. The perception at the time is always usually skewed because they might be sleeping, or they could be drugged, or something could be altering their mind. Because if we're investigating all things paranormal, we have to accept all things paranormal. So it's a rabbit hole, man.
All right. So when we get into this Men in Black, okay, a lot of people, and when I looked into this across Canada, I was actually quite surprised that experiencers that I had talked to had Men in Black experiences. Because I guess I always looked at that in a prototypical American type program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And knowing how small, when it comes to defense budgets and everything that Canada has, we don't spend a lot of money on things like that. So where are these Men in Black reports coming from? Are they from the U.S. or are they of alien descent, or does Canada have a Men in Black program?
I don't know if they have a specific program within Canada yet. My research, from what I've been scanning through on Project Magnet, suggests that there might be, but that might have been part of the handoff to the U.S. when they took over after they retrieved that body. So I'm not quite sure to confirm that, but just the fact that we're linked at that point, it would be possible to share resources, because we share resources and everything and all that other stuff, NORAD and all that junk. But there are reports that I have that have come in of physical people following experiencers after the fact that fit the garb and the description of the Men in Black phenomenon. And it's in Canada. It's in Ontario. It's in Saskatchewan. I've read about it. So are they American? Are they from something else? I mean, they could be from anywhere because we travel. There could be a division here. We don't know. We're a government. We have a Canadian Space Agency. Yeah, we do have space. A space program here in Canada. A lot of people don't know that. We do things too, but. It's possible. It must be. I mean, and now we need to look into the demographics of why that's necessary and what that actually means.
In your definition, what is the necessity to these Men in Black? What are people telling you?
Well, they fear that they're being followed deliberately, and they're noticing it after they've had some experiences. So we're not even sure if they're connected. We're not even sure if they're watching them. I can compare that to me as a private investigator doing surveillance. I'm watching a specific target at a specific house. I know that the target's no threat to me and the house is no threat to me, but I'm concerned about the neighbor walking their dog looking at me. So like if maybe the experiencer isn't the target, they just feel like they're the target, and these are private investigators trying to locate somebody that's dressed in suits and black ties and things like that, which is odd. But I mean, they could just there could be some little bit of psychosomatic spook there, but I've always suggested to them, if you see someone follow you, turn around, identify them, let them know you see them, and see what happens, if it's safe to do so. That's what I would do. I've been tailed by another PI before, and I turned around and said, "You got your license?" And they fumbled right there, and that stopped it, right? Like if you're going to be that obvious. So, I don't know. It's an iffy one. I'm trying to figure out the intent, the reason behind it. So, if that would mean the phenomenon is true. That would mean the event is true, which means they need to check up and see to make sure they're not seeing anything, or they're a test subject. Something happened and they're watching them to see what happened. But the problem is, the mind of the experiencer at this time, they don't know the difference. They're trying to process what may or may not have happened. They're trying to validate it themselves. They might have made a report to somebody and they're trying to figure it all out. And then at the same time, someone's following them home from the grocery store. They're in this heightened state. And now with COVID, masks all over the place, even more, suspicious.
Okay, so let me ask you this: out of all the reports that you were getting, how often are these Men in Black actually reported on?
I would say they're rare. They're very rare from what I'm getting. I think I have 2 out of like a 2%. I would say, not common.
Is there something about those very few reports that intertwine with each other? Because, and I'll be honest with you here, a lot of these Men in Black statements that we hear of people, I don't believe them.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. Because there's a lot of people out there who want the to be a part of something. They want a 15 minutes of fame. And if their friend had a UFO sighting, there's always the people who have to turn it up just a notch. Well, I had a UFO sighting. Now I'm being followed by black vehicles everywhere. That's not how this works. So with those reports, are there any similarities that would lead to Men in Black coming around?
No, not really. I mean, they just seem odd and random, and I don't really see a link to it. My personal assumption at the time of reading the reports is that it's a non-issue. I don't think that's even connected to what I'm like. It just doesn't make sense to me. I have a hard time believing it too, and that's just because as a PI, you wouldn't see me, like you wouldn't know that I'm onto you, and I'm a human being, and self-taught. I'm not a government agent, and I would imagine if I'm able to blend in and not blow my cover, like these guys should be able to. I don't know. That's I'm more like that's what along the lines of me more likely believing that they're humans, but that would be the only trend. I think they're human, not entities.
I just don't get it. I mean, how many people really, Ryan, are being followed, by these black vehicles or black helicopters? I can see multiple experiencers. Like someone I do believe that's happening to is my good friend Samantha Mowat. Okay? Because I've experienced things with her. And I can understand why, someone in government who has an interest in this subject would be intrigued by someone of her ilk. Okay. But for the average Joe out there who has a single UFO phenomena sighting, all right, and reports it in, I can't see all of a sudden, black vans, black cars, black trucks, black helicopters coming around a person who calls in a couple of lights in the sky. I mean, I can see it happening with people who are having crazy phenomena.
Are abductions, and like there's a lot of significant stuff going on, multiple visitations, multiple anomalies happening. So I guess we could say that these cases are surrounded by multiple events by happening to one person. I do have some cases I've yet to investigate, so I don't have all the evidence. But the black helicopters and the vans, those are common too. And I believe that they're being followed. I believe that these objects are there. I believe that the event took place. I'm just having a hard time associating the intent. I don't know why they would need to follow you. Because if they were able to abduct you and take you at your own free will and accord without you having any say in it, why not just do that again?
Chris has a question in the chat room.
Yeah.
Why collect the stories if you don't believe them?
My job is not to believe. My job is to verify and fact check to make sure that the evidence that we have is the best possible evidence available, so that those who do believe in these different types of phenomenon will be able to take that information and project opinion on it. And when they put their opinions on it, I would then ask them to support their opinions with other facts, so I can be educated on that. So I'm not fully educated 100% on all of the phenomenon. I'm educating myself as each case comes in. So as I learn more, I will believe more. So currently, with my understanding of cases I've investigated involving Men in Black, does not lead me to believe that these particular cases are part of that mainstream phenomenon. If that makes sense. So I do believe. That's why I do it. I just don't believe how it's happening is really how it's happening, because I do think that the mainstream media and propaganda has done a great deal of damage to everyone's perception of what the phenomenon really is.
Okay, and what is that? What do you think that is?
Well, if you look at Ghost Adventures or any other investigating show, like the investigative process is not legitimate. It's for media. It's for entertainment. I have a hard time with investigative shows, probably because I'm biased, because I'm an investigator, and I know investigations are long and mundane and boring, and it's hard to make it entertaining without lying or fudging things. But people are led to believe that the story, a haunted location is, or someone died at a location means it's haunted. And then with UFOs associated with Men in Black, because there is a document from the American government that says that there are Men in Black in the MK-12 projects or whatever, right? So there's supporting evidence from the past that suggests that it exists or existed. And then we have evidence and facts that say that the program's been closed. And we think, because we don't trust the government, that these projects has continued. And now we're making associations, because since then we've had lots of movies and shows that display these phenomena.
I want to ask you something. In the next half hour, we are going to get into the disclosure side of everything.
Sweet.
But I want to ask you, in regards to the Canadian media and this subject, the Canadian media had absolutely no problem running the stories of the 3 United States Navy videos regarding the USS Nimitz, all right? And yet, not a single reporter in Canada asked anybody in Ottawa, Canada's capital for our American world listeners, about what Canada's role in ufology, or if this is happening here. Were you surprised by that?
Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to figure out why. Like, why are we not allowed, or is it bad journalism, or even the journalists don't realize that that's an option to them? Like, or do they work? Like, there's so many. Like, it is strange. I plan, once I have enough data, to ask those questions myself. And what I want to do is, instead of asking them if aliens exist, I basically want to have a list of confirmed cases through my investigations, and I'll be asking them a double-edged question. Are you aware that on this date at this time that this object was in the sky? That's it. He has to answer that question. Because if he says yes, then we get confirmation that this anomaly is validated and they know what it is, and we can leave it at that. But if he says no, then my question back would be, is Canada not safe? Because I can prove that this object was in the sky on this date at this time, and you don't know that, and our Canadian government doesn't know it was there. So it could be Russia, it could be America, it could be anything, it could be a known thing. So the country is not safe, is what you're telling me, right? But I need the data before I can ask the right question at the right time. I don't think fighting for disclosure is the right way of doing it. Being hard and aggressive is not the way we're going to get it.
Well, that is a tough one. And Ryan, we're going to get into disclosure right when we come back here on Spaced Out Radio. Ryan Stacey from TESA, the Experiencers Support Association, and we are going to get into disclosure. What is Canada's role? Do we have a role? Do we even need a role in disclosure? Is it happening now? Is it only a U.S. thing? Has it already been disclosed? We're going to use the disclosure word a lot. So if you got a drinking game going on, disclosure may be your word in the next half hour of the show. Check it on out. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio coming up next. Hey, Ryan, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back.
Okay.
This is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacey from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month. And follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans.
All right, Ryan, I'm back.
All right. Okay, so this is 3 hours, right?
No, 2.5.
Oh, this is the last segment?
Yeah, just stick with me through the break, and then I'll say good night on the break.
Okay. What are you doing in your last? I thought it was 3 hours. What are you doing in your last half?
I do a news section. Funny news.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you like your thought of the day, that stuff? That's what that's for?
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
Cool,
trying to bring some humor into it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
No worries. I'm exhausted anyways. Long day.
Well, yeah, you're the man.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, we love you, man. We do.
I just hope I'm doing. That's the other thing too. Is like I'm doing something different or I'm doing something wrong. I just want to make sure. I just hope I'm doing something right. You know, I just hope. I hope the direction that I know it's not the same. I'm on a different path, but I have the same goal in mind. And I just hope that what I'm doing will matter.
Well, I think it is. Hey, just give me a second. Anya, TH, Jenny, and Vinny, thank you so much for the kind super chats tonight. Really do appreciate it. And Ryan is just from outside of Toronto, so that's where he is. And we're going to get going here in a couple seconds.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. Thank you so much for tuning us on in. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on KPNL, Revolution Radio, and TalkStream Live. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. McTurishan. McTurishan is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on with Ryan Stacey from TESACAN.org. That's TESA, CAN.org. His group is the Experiencers Support Association. Ryan, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do you believe we are in a disclosure movement or a confirmation movement of UFOs?
I would say confirmation movement. I think disclosure has been happening, or it has happened. Disclosure means, revealing secret information. So if we're referring that to UFO, unidentified flying objects, that doesn't mean aliens. It could just mean government technology that might defy the laws of physics. So I think with everything else that's going on and my current opinion on some of the stuff that I've been seeing, confirmation on ETs, I think we're far off from. But confirmation on the existence of super tech, I guess, I think we're close to that. That's my thoughts on that. What do you think?
I think we're in a confirmation movement. And I've said this before on the show, so I'll continue with being on record for that. Confirmation is, ever since we came out with the terminology UAP, or unidentified aerial phenomena, we seem to be segregating what UAP or UFOs are comparatively to ETs and alien contact. We're not allowed to mix one with the other. People, I think, around the world will have an easier time accepting the fact that there are anomalous objects flying in our skies. But when you bring in the fact that we may be visited by another species, whether they're humanoid, whether they're, greys or mantids or reptilians or whatever it may be, that I think we're really, not ready or prepared for that. So I think it's easy to confirm the fact that there is anomalous objects flying around, but to disclose that it is happening, man, there's a lot of secrets that need to come out if full disclosure is ever going to happen.
Yeah, because if we assume that what we think is happening or has happened, meaning Roswell and the body retrievals here in Canada, I think it was a single one. I got to look into that. But anyways, if we assume that happened, everyone who covered it up, everyone who lied about it, everyone who participated in it, it needs to be pardoned or exonerated in some form before disclosure happens, so that way we don't have a witch hunt, depending on what parameters were in place surrounding keeping that secret, and however methods were used to do so. I don't know too much. What if it's just technology that we have, and it was a crash? There was bodies recovered, they died, and that was it. And based on that, they took the technology, they reverse engineered it, and then we advanced as a civilization. But that was it. We were visited once. That could be disclosed, part of it, And that could be a roundabout way of saying, yes, that happened, but everything else that has happened, is not related to that. But then we would, as a society, we might associate it because that was confirmed, therefore these are confirmed, and they get away with not actually saying it for a little bit to see how we react. You got to give a little bit,
All right. So for you in the disclosure movement, if that were to open up, that opens up a lot of secrets. Whether it's Roswell, whether it's the alleged story of the Navy divers going down at Shag Harbor and seeing aliens working on the broken down craft that crashed there. This is stuff we need to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would help. That would help me, because then I have an actual constant or a confirmed variable to compare all my theories off of. Everyone could compare their research off of a known source, because then a bunch of us could come forward if we had a picture of a real one. Look at all the information I have that looks like that. Finally. But TESA is not planning to push for disclosure. TESA is planning for what happens after. So let's assume that aliens are real and they disclose that. They come out full transparency and they say everything. We're going to have several camps. We're going to have the camps that said, I knew it, I was right all along. Then you're going to have that camp that says, bullcrap, they're lying, that's not the truth, it's a conspiracy, it's a distraction, or it never happened. But then you're going to have, which I believe to be the majority population, questioning faith, religion, their dreams and nightmares all of a sudden are reality. Where are they going to turn to? They're not going to turn to the government because they don't trust the government already, and the government's now giving them a little bit, but they need help, they need support. So the resources that we have that we refer experiencers to after we investigate the cases, that's part of what happens after disclosure. That's what we're building towards, is when that is revealed, we are established to that point that there's that resource available for them to come to and say, okay, I'm losing my mind, this happened to me, help bring me down, and that includes treatment with with Reiki and mediumship and all the pseudoscience regression. We provide referrals to our experiencers after we investigate them if they exhibit any signs of trauma, and that is what's happening right now. So if disclosure happens, we're going to have a hell of a lot more of that. Look how we're handling COVID. That is a good example. If that was a test, or if it's real or not real, we can go whatever way you want on that. But that's like, if that was the real deal, we didn't handle that well, and we're not handling that well. Do you think we could really, as a population, really get a hold of accepting ET and religion and God never existed and all that fun jazz?
Well, I mean, that is a big question. That is a major question in regards to it. Can the public handle any type of ET disclosure? The easy answer on that is yes. People are mature enough. They're astute enough. But as we've said many times on this program, we have no idea how it's going to affect the markets. We have no idea how it's going to deal with the world financial system.
I'd like to know who's in charge. Are we in charge of them, or are they in charge of us? That changes the dynamic.
So are people ready?
I'm ready. But I'm just, one guy.
Well, I know you're one guy. I know that you are trying really hard to figure out what it is you actually, can bring as that one person who's vocal about it. But for you on the disclosure movement, well, let's talk about Canada here for a second. What do you think Canada's role in any disclosure movement would be?
Well, I believe Canada has disclosed already. I believe that, because in my research and with the documents that I'm waiting on and what I've observed online, there's a whole plethora of information available that no one's combed through, or at least displayed in such a way to make an impact. So I think somewhere buried in this information are some things worth talking about, which could assist in confirming things. The CIA, we got documents in there that talk about Canadian content as well too. I think the files are available. We just need to look at them, and I think the answers are already there. And then once it's discovered, someone will talk about it. But Canada's role, it's like the role in anything. We probably want to wait and see who's going to take the lead. Like, disclosure is a united movement. There has to be, the United Nations would have to be involved in it. Everyone would have to be in on it, which means everyone would have had to cover it up. So I think Canada is maybe just being Canadian and just staying out of it until someone drops a bomb, and then we can be like, sorry.
But isn't that part of the problem, though, is for the majority of the world, we're all looking to the United States to disclose what they have. But, I mean, what we're not realizing is the secrets that are behind that. So if we do have, which I believe we do, any sort of crash retrievals, the technology on that would have been, or presumably would have been, reverse engineered in order to help it. Or if you want to turn up the woo factor, you go back to the idea that President Eisenhower signed some sort of Greada treaty with extraterrestrial species, trading humans for study for alien technology. All right, there's that rumor that's floating around. There's a lot of secrets that are out there that we just don't know, that are probably so deep in the back of the vault that they will never see the light of day again. The big question is, if any of this is true, how much of that actually comes out? Whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Canada, or, you think Rendlesham in Great Britain. All right, there's a lot of secrets that people are going to start asking questions about.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. We're just as important. We're just as involved. But I just don't think they're pushing, or maybe no one's asked. Again, not to talk ill of anyone in the past and what they've done and what they're doing now, all that other stuff. But my observation from everyone's efforts, anyone who, let me just pop it here, anyone who does anything for the benefit of humanity towards ufology and disclosure is an ace. And, even if it's on a small scale, it's important. But from my perspective, as someone who follows leads and preps for court and can get information, I'm surprised that no one has put as much pressure on our government as we could have. Like Grant and Victor are doing great pushing the American government to disclose. And they have the reasons for that, and they have their background, and they've done, I'm sure, there's a history of Canada in there as well, but they've, it's just, I'd like to see that effort here in Canada. Or maybe they've done it and it was unsuccessful. I mean, I don't have all the information on that too. Maybe you could touch on that because you know them better than I do. But from my observation, it appears that no one's put any pressure on Canada. So I intend to put some pressure on Canada at some point, but I'm not confident yet because I don't have all the data.
I think the big answer to that, Ryan, is in Canada, we don't know who's looking into this. We can only assume, because the one thing that I have learned is the Ministry of Defense, or the Department of National Defense, may know about what is going on, but they're not the ones who are actually investigating it. We're not sure if it's the National Transportation Safety Board, whether it's another group out there. We don't know.
It's from the declassified document that I've received that has that service report. It comes from the 22nd Squadron, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and it is investigating UFOs in Montreal. So I can confirm that on that case, that's the headquarters in which the intelligence research is being done. So the Department of Defense is working with me in the sense of communicating with me. They're educating me, they're helping me, and leading me to the library and the archives to retrieve these documents. They're helping me retrieve all this stuff and giving me and directing me on how to interpret this information. They're actually really helpful. That took a long time for me to develop that relationship, but it's because I didn't approach them as a ufologist. I approached them as a professional private investigator. So I had a little bit of a professional edge, and they started talking to me as a professional, not a hobbyist ufologist. So, because they get thousands and thousands of requests from people all over the place. So either it's really easy and no one has asked, or I'm onto something. It's so easy for me to do it that they're either giving up, or maybe I'm just the first person to ask. It's so strange. They're so helpful. So what does that mean? Well, I'm waiting for the documents. So once I get them, I'll be posting them every single day as I go through them, if there's anything in there.
Well, that is one of the big ones that we need to figure out, as we got about just under 5 minutes left to go with Ryan Stacey tonight on Spaced Out Radio from the Experiencer Support Association. just outside of Toronto, Ontario. Ryan, with Canada, being so intertwined and kind of having the public, I think you may be right that you may be one of the only people, if not the only person in Canada, who's actually been able to confirm where this is going. I don't even think politicians know, because let's face it, a lot of politicians don't find out this information because they're on a time limit, whether it's a 2-year term, a 4-year term, whenever there's a federal election. All right, they could be out at any time. So it's not like, when you get into the deep crevasses of government secrets, that your local member of parliament is going to know about that, because they don't know how long they're going to be there.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I do believe that I'm onto something. I just hope that I have enough people following me at that point that when they see it, that they'll share it, so that way it gets into the right hands to enhance and blow up to wherever it needs to go, because, no one's ever heard of me. I'm still, I'm not famous yet, and I don't want to be famous. I want to, I do this for the people. And so if you go to the website will have everything. There's also, I want to say in the last couple minutes, if I could, we have what's called Project Babel. If you go to tesacan.org/submit your work and select Project Babel, what that essentially is a form for you as an investigator who has already done their own investigation and has evidence that could be the smoking gun or part of it. You submit that to us through Babel, and I'll help you validate and confirm or authenticate that you've done everything the best that you can, and basically tie it up in a neat little bow, and together through TESA we'll promote it and give you credit for it as well, and we'll add it to the database. And in doing it in that form, we should only get the best of the best. We just want your best evidence. We don't want every case, but we want to give you credit for the work that you're doing and to add and contribute to the database, so you can be part of TESA while still being independent and still being managed by your own thing, which means MUFON field investigators. You could report your best cases if you have permission from your experiencers, not MUFON. You remember, these reports belong to the people. And if it wasn't for the people, experiencers and witnesses reporting to us, reporting to me, reporting to you, we would not be having this conversation right now. And I want that to be recognized, that everything I do is because of all the people that have come forward. I have 1,200 cases in the tank. That's 1,200 people who I've worked with, who've trusted me. And doing what I do is not easy. And I appreciate you, Dave, for bringing me on here, and everything you do to support the mission, and your ability to stay neutral in all of this. And we all have to work together. And TESA has that platform available for all of us to work together. You just got to ask.
I got to just quickly ask you, we've got a minute left. You're thinking about putting on a conference just outside of Toronto later this year in October, I believe, where Grant Cameron and I, if we're lucky, COVID permitting, will be able to fly out there and speak. Quickly tell us about it in about 40 seconds.
Well, that is the cat out of the bag, because we never mentioned that yet. But it will be in Collingwood, Ontario. It's called Interconnected, and it's a UFO and paranormal retreat. So we're basically going to have it set up as your normal conference, but geared towards you experiencing something. We want to have contact. So it's going to be informative, it's going to be disclosure, but we're actually going to conduct some sort of experimentation at this event because we want contact.
Right on. Right on. Ryan, we'll talk again very, very soon. Thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio, my friend. It's always a good time to have you here, and we will definitely do it again in a few months' time and get an update from you. Ryan's website, everyone, is TESACAN.org from the Experiencers Support Association, TESACAN.org. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire. We have the Thought of the Dave. Stay tuned. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. Good job, Ryan.
Thanks, man. No, good job, you, man. Those were good questions. I never know, man. Frick.
I know. But no, you did very well, dude. You did very well tonight.
I appreciate you a lot, though. Like, you guide me, but you don't tell me to do anything. So, like, this was a good validation for me because I was just always wondering if I'm on the right track. So, this helped verify that I am making a difference, at least doing my part in all this. So, thanks.
No problem, brother. No problem. I'll let you get to bed here because I know it's late for you. But thank you for hanging on out, dude. Appreciate it.
No worries, man. So you have a good night, and
you too.
We'll check in later.
All right, brother. You take care.
All right. Bye now.
Bye. Ryan Stacey, everyone. Ooh. Ryan Stacey. The Ryan Stacey. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just getting the news ready here. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, that's good. Find the thought of the day right there. How we all doing out there? How we all doing? Justin, thank you. We love you being at our show, man. Love all of you here. Good night, Truth Within. Jenny, I'll clap for you, Jenny. This is for Jenny. This is the Jenny clap. Hi, gorgeous Heather. When this COVID crap ends, gorgeous Heather is going to lead the way for the Spaced Out Radio Party in Vegas. Yes, she is. What are you with frosty balls here, Dave? Justin Good Earth has been on the hippie lettuce all night. My tooth is still bugging me. Oh. That's all right. It'll feel better tomorrow. And the next day. I don't have any autographed jock straps, Vinster. But I do have autographed free pieces of coaxial cable. Autographed by Cable Guy Matt. And when you get a t-shirt, you can ask the people who have bought them recently. You actually get an autographed poster of the We Own the Night poster from me. I have not Ozzy. I would love to. Yeah, just hit up Corns there. Bookings at spacedoutradio.com with whomever you want to hear. Or you want us to try and track down. Corns is a bulldog on getting those. Bulldog. By the way, Corns, the booking guy, I had a nice long conversation today with John Greenwald from the Black Vault. And if you could get me some dates in March, I would like to send him some dates so we can get him on the show in March, if you don't mind. Jurassic Joey, how do we get the autograph poster? Buy yourself a t-shirt. Go to the facebook.com/the SOR Vault. I will throw in, this is what I do. So when you get a t-shirt, okay, or a hoodie or whatever you want, I will throw in an autographed piece of coaxial cable. You get a poster from We Own the Night. I sign that for you. I'll make it personalized. And you also get a couple of stickers as well. I got the stickers right here. You get that one. And you get this one. All right, here we go. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much. I want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's do this. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show with the weird, strange, wacky, and sometimes the ignorant. A millionaire Canadian couple who we told you about yesterday, who secretly traveled to a remote community in the Yukon Territory to get their COVID shots. Well, they're in big trouble. They are in big trouble. Rodney Baker and his wife, Ekaterina, an actor, were widely condemned after it emerged that they had chartered a plane to the remote community in the Yukon where they posted and posed as local motel employees. So they were fined $2,300 Canadian or $1,800 American for violating Yukon's Civil Emergency Measures Act, but community leaders argued that the penalty would be insignificant for the wealthy couple. Baker resigned from his position as casino executive on Sunday, but records show that he's worth about $45.9 million in stock options over the last 13 months. So amid the growing outrage, the Yukon Community Service Minister announced that the couple's tickets have been stayed and they had been served with a notice to appear in court. If convicted, they could spend up to 6 months in jail. I have to say I am outraged by this selfish behavior. All of us Yukoners are outraged, Minister John Stryker said. I find it disturbing that people would choose to put fellow Canadians at risk in this manner. The Bakers are each charged with failing to self-isolate for 14 days and failing to act in a manner consistent with their declarations upon arriving in the Yukon. They are due to appear in Whitehorse Court on May 4th. Stryker confirmed the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are also investigating the couple's actions. A mobile vaccine team dispatched to Beaver Creek, Yukon, because of its limited health care and the elderly population, many of whom belong to the White River First Nation. Stryker said members of the First Nation said they felt violated by the couple's behavior, which has also prompted officials in the territory to change the criteria for vaccine eligibility. Anyone whose health cards issued outside of the territory will need to demonstrate proof of residency, he said. Stryker said that he had heard the couple's had not made any attempt to apologize to the First Nation. Canada's Indigenous Services Minister Mark Miller joined the chorus of criticism, saying, "I understand these people are wealthy, and I won't tell them what to do with their money, but, perhaps reparations are due at some level." Here's a weird one. A fanatic of Charles Manson has had Manson's ashes tattooed into an X on his forehead to match the cult leader and helter-skelter inked above his eye, 5 decades after the murderer sent his followers out to kill in order to inspire a race war. Patrick Booz, a 45-year-old married man from New York, paid $600 for the 2 tattoos linked to the man he described as a prophet, saying it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity he couldn't pass up. He said he paid tattoo artist and self-proclaimed professional weirdo Ryan Almighty for the privilege after the artist said he got some of Manson's ashes from a former friend of the notorious mass murderer's grandson. He opted for the phrase helter-skelter to be tattooed above his right eye, a reference to the Beatles song and the name Manson adopted for the race war he encouraged his followers to start. Booz also decided that to get the X to match the notorious killer's own tattoo that he had famously carved into his head every day during his murder trial. The so-called Manson family of cult followers also copied the design of their own faces during the trial, and Manson later turned his cross into a full swastika. Booz admitted that it's weird that Charles is now part of me now, and said, "We really don't know if Manson was responsible for the multiple murders he was convicted of. However, he insisted he does not want to start a race war or be like the infamous killer, described himself as really a nobody." The 45-year-old sought out Almighty and got in touch with him after he heard he had used Manson's ashes for other art pieces. "The tattoo was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to me, a piece of history. It's weird that Charles is now a part of me now. Kind of creepy, I guess. No kidding. And I don't think it will affect me in any way." No, dude, you're going to get haunted by this. Haunted by this. Yeah. I'm sure your parents are proud. Really proud. Anyways. Doesn't that just anger you? That somebody would be, hey, everybody gets to do to each their own. I mean, I think we can agree on that. To each their own. But at some point, it gets a little strange. If you're a health worker in the United States and you love football, well, contact the NFL. The NFL is showing its support for healthcare workers as the 2021 Super Bowl approaches. Ahead of the big game in Tampa on February 7th, the NFL announced that they would be giving away free Super Bowl tickets to 7,500 vaccinated healthcare workers. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said in a press release that he was inviting the workers as guests of the NFL to thank and honor them for their continued extraordinary service during the pandemic. These dedicated healthcare workers continue to put their own lives at risk to serve others, and we owe them our ongoing gratitude, Goodell said in a statement. "We, in a small way, hope that this initiative will inspire our country and recognize these true American heroes. This is also an opportunity to promote the importance of vaccination and appropriate health practices, including wearing masks in public settings." While the majority of the healthcare workers will come from hospitals and healthcare systems in the Tampa and Central Florida area, all 32 NFL clubs will get the chance to select workers from their respective communities. In addition to free tickets, the healthcare professionals will also receive game day experiences and be recognized for their efforts, along with their counterparts across the nation, through a variety of special moments, both in the stadium and during the CBS broadcast, the NFL said. The Super Bowl will be played by the winner of the AFC Championship, which was the Kansas City Chiefs, and, of course, the NFC champion Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In addition to the 7,500 healthcare workers, the NFL confirmed in that press release that an additional 14,500 fans will be allowed in attendance at Raymond James Stadium. Public health officials, including the CDC, the Florida Department of Health, and area hospitals and healthcare systems, have all been working with the NFL to ensure that they can host everyone in a safe and responsible way. Officials at a zoo here in Canada say a missing lynx, not the missing link, a missing lynx cat was safely recaptured more than a week after the feline escaped from its enclosure. Chris Baldwin, manager of the Salmonier National Park in Newfoundland and Labrador, said the lynx escaped from its enclosure last week when a windstorm uprooted a tree that provided the animal a path to freedom. Baldwin said a second lynx kept in the same enclosure did not attempt to escape. The Department of Fisheries, Forestry, and Agriculture said the lynx was safely recaptured by zoo employees with the help from conservation officers based in Paddy's Pond. The department has asked the public to keep an eye out for the animal, reporting any sightings, but they don't need to worry anymore. Now, if you've ever seen a lynx up close and personal, they are gorgeous. Gorgeous. The one I saw this past fall when I was going out to get firewood, I mean, I've been, within inches of tigers and cougars and everything, but I will tell you this, the lynx is a beautiful, beautiful cat. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right now, I moan and complain a lot about sharks. Okay? I have a fear of sharks. You all know that. If you listen to this show long enough, you will know that I will not dip my pinky toe in any sort of salt water because the minute I do, I know Jaws is going to be right there. But I can tell you another thing here. As much as I am dreadfully scared of sharks, I am really, really tired of their declining populations because the oceans are good places for these creatures. We don't need to go in there. Nope, we don't need to go in there. But apparently shark and ray populations around the world are declining a staggering 70% over the last 50 years, and scientists say, of course, humans are to blame. And if nothing changes, overfishing could soon wipe them out completely. So a new study in the journal Nature measures sharks and ray populations from 1970 to 2018, finding a 71.1% decrease. 3/4 of the species are known threatened with extinction, and scientists say the true collapse is likely even worse than their findings. Researchers hope the study serves as an urgent wake-up call. Knowing that this is a global figure, the finding are sharks, co-author Nick Dulvey said in a statement. If we don't do anything, it'll be too late. It's much worse than other animal populations we've been looking at. Out of a total of 31 species of oceanic sharks and rays, 24 are now threatened with extinction, and many are classified as critically endangered. It's an incredible rate of decline, steeper than most elephant and rhino declines, and those animals are iconic in driving conservation efforts on land. To measure the decline, researchers use two well-established indicators, the Living Planet Index, which measures change in population abundance, and the Red List Index, which measures extinction risk. While human disturbances and climate change are among the factors considered in the study, researchers say that overfishing was found to be the greatest threat. Fishing of ocean-going sharks and rays has increased 1,800% since 1970, according to the study, with an estimated 63 million to 273 million sharks killed each year in the early 2000s. They are fished for their meat, fins, fill plates, and liver oil. Shark fin soup is considered a status symbol in some parts of Asia. We can see the alarming consequences of overfishing in the ocean through the dramatic declines of some of the most iconic inhabitants, said author Nathan Pacoro. Low population growth rates made it especially difficult for sharks to bounce back from overexploitation, but scientists say that conservation can still work if implemented properly. Let's hope they do, because I like sharks. I don't like being near them. Don't need to go in the ocean, but I like sharks. Now, here's a really cool discovery. In northern Madagascar, researchers have found a micro chameleon. Yeah, the chameleon is Bruchsia nana, abbreviated to B-nana. If you squint, it does kind of look like a banana. B-nana. I didn't make it up. Females of the species are larger than males, about 3/4 of an inch from snout to vent. The new record holders are the adult males, which are less than an inch, including the tail. Oh, and the males also have huge, massive genitalia in proportion to their size. Yeah, they're packing a real hammer here. The extremely miniaturized males of the species need relatively larger genitals, co-author Miguel Vincez says. Why? In order to successfully mate with their larger females, most of the tiny chameleons' relatives in the genus Brookesia are similarly small and live in the northern forests of Madagascar. Though B. nana is tiny, its hammer needed to keep up with their reproductive expectations and necessities, while chameleons, it's worth noting that the entire family of Brookesia doesn't have much capacity for color changing. That behavior is mostly limited to the bigger lizards in the family Chameleonidea, according to study co-author Mark Schertz. Yeah, so apparently, as Schertz explained, it's not easy to find these little crawlers. The search is done at night when the chameleons roost on branches above the forest floor. The researchers often rely on local guides like Angeluic guides whose skills at finding such hard-to-spot species are unparalleled. As for why B. nana go so nano, well, one might expect that it might have been tempted to rule the island, which is described now when isolation, say on an island, animals sometimes grow larger or smaller than their non-isolated relatives in order to survive. Example, elephants walked on Malta and 12-foot-tall birds called moas roam New Zealand. There's numerous extremely miniaturized vertebrates in Madagascar, including the smallest primates and some of the smallest frogs in the world, which have evolved independently. And you know what? This is kind of cute. I would want some of these. I can honestly say that. Even though I'd never take them home. You know, I don't have any reptiles. Not yet anymore. I used to have an iguana. She was like 3.5 feet long. She was gorgeous. Anyways, so we got some mini chameleons hanging out in Madagascar. And I think we got time for one more or two. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg said the company would no longer recommend civic and political groups to users on the platform. The social media giant said that it was temporarily halting recommendations of political groups for U.S. users in the run-up to the presidential election. Well, this past Wednesday, Facebook said it would be making this permanent and would expand the policy globally. Democratic Senator Ed Markey wrote to Zuckerberg asking for an explanation of reports, including by news site The Markup, that Facebook had failed to stop recommending political groups on its platform. He called Facebook's groups breeding groups of hate and noted that they had been venues of planning for the January 6th riot at the U.S. Capitol. Speaking on a conference call, Zuckerberg stated that the company was continuing to fine-tune how it works. Facebook groups are communities that form around shared interests. Public groups can be seen, searched, and joined by anyone on the service. Several watchdog and advocacy groups have pushed for Facebook to limit algorithmic group recommendations because of it. Oh, well. And finally tonight, if you bought a tuna sandwich at Subway recently, chances are you may have eaten something that was made from anything but tuna, according to two Bay Area customers. Karen and Nilima from Alameda County filed a lawsuit in San Francisco federal court accusing the American fast food giant franchise of misrepresenting its tuna sandwich. The plaintiffs claim that they performed independent lab tests of samples of tuna taken from several Subway locations in California. The test proved that the tuna is actually a mixture of various concoctions that do not constitute tuna, yet have been blended together by Subway to imitate the appearance of tuna. According to the complaint. The complaint does not specify what the lab tests revealed or what the tuna is actually made of. Subway has denied the claims, saying that the tuna is real and from fish caught in the wild. Subway representatives say these claims are absolutely meritless. Let the tuna battle begin. Thought of the Day happens every night at this time when we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Day is as follows. How come we focus solely on the USA to disclose all UFO notes and not other countries? Stetson John, because no other countries have as much trouble as we do at keeping a secret. John, another John, because other countries have already released their UFO files. Like in 2007, France released them. And there are others. Jimmy, I'm sure the USA has something to do with it. 13 ballads. Americans have more quirky folk, eccentrics, and absent-minded professors at the Midwest sci-fi conventions. It's all about entertainment value. Canadian Joe, always wondered about that. Seems like we're always waiting for E.T. to land on the White House lawn. Why not the Kremlin or China, unless all governments are involved in the UFO cover-up? Joseph, good question, Dave. I think it was because so many big UFO events like Roswell and Area 51 that we kind of think of the USA as the leader in alien events, so we expect them to be the first to announce something. Mad Planet, wouldn't you think that other countries would attempt to hack into their systems looking for information? As of yet, only Gary McKinnon from his bedroom has managed it. LOL. They must be constantly under attack, yet nothing gets disclosed. Well, to the public, that is. Cherry, technology dominance over the global socioeconomic narrative. Twin Brewing, because we are the ugly Americans, and for better or worse, our pop culture is exported around the world. David, the French government published a book full of measurable and repeatable evidence. It's called Les ovnis et la défense. Yeah, I think I got that right. Les ovnis et la défense. I butchered that one. Anyways, Uriah, this is where the biggest market is. Think money to be made from book sales, swag, etc. Of course, it's always coming down to the money, isn't it? All right, let's continue on here on the thought of the Dave. Jay, corporations are transitional. Also, we are one. When our personal world is ready, the outer world will shift. Brian, great question, Dave. The USA isn't the end-all, be-all. Disclosure has come time to time again. Richard, I spoke with an old Canadian Navy diver, and he told me that the U.S., under various treaties within many countries, will always take the lead in these types of incidents. Joseph, other countries getting their marching orders in this subject from the big three, USA, Russia, and China. Darren, already happening. Go to YouTube and you will find everything. They spoon-feed it to everyone. Once you watch one thing, you get the next class. Wayne, disclosure has been happening for the past 50-plus years thanks to people like Grant Cameron, Richard Dolan, and John Greenwald Jr. Sir Can, because we imagine the U.S. government has some special UFO information that no one else has. They don't. Jack, Luis Elizondo is on it. Scott, because we are brainwashed by virtue of proximity. Joe, because no one cares what third world countries like France or Canada have to say about that. Thanks, Joe. We're 1-0 up here in Canada. Just a reminder, 1812. Donna, our media never reports what the alphabets don't want them to report. Gail, the reason is because of the Greada Treaty of 1954. The U.S. was the chosen country by E.T. for this treaty, and it's still intact today. Finally tonight, Cousin Darren gets the last word. It's because aliens speak English, Dave. Duh. Thank you to everybody in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again tomorrow. Captain Shirk for the SOR Newswire, and Ryan Stacey for a great show. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms tonight. Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Rev Radio, Facebook, Space Travelers Club, and Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing your evening with us. Because together, my friends, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but tomorrow, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we got room for them too. Good night.